Hello and welcome everybody. We are here to continue Season 2 of the Great Poker Chip Adventure. I just got back from Vegas. Finally picked up some Venetian chips. Lovely graphics. The advertisements that Paulson put on their chips, these decals, lovely graphics. And here's just a stock one. I actually picked these up at the Palazzo. I stayed in 3 resorts. I think I might as well give you guys a quick update here. I stayed in the Julius Tower, the latest remodel of the Roman Tower at Caesar's Palace. I stayed in Vdara Penthouse Suite. Vdara is still going strong. It's a solid resort. Kind of people describe it as a boutique hotel, part of the city center construction. And then I stayed in the Mirage with some pals, and that is beginning to look dated. Some things need to be replaced in those hospitality suites. And like my genius friend, when we were at the Mirage, asked me, well, we were walking through and I was talking about the Olympics. Maybe we could, put some money down on, I can't remember what sport we were talking about. The first thing he says, is gambling legal here? Genius. Now we are going to talk about Roman times. It's like the New York Times, right? Or, Roman times sounds like some sort of terrible high school newspaper newsletter that they send out or something. I'm not entirely sure what the Roman times thing is all about, but we're going to talk about those chips. First, we're going to see how they look when we're actually playing a hand of Texas Hold'em. That was a terrible shuffle. We're going to try that again. I might be a little bit out of practice. And while I was there in Vegas, I did get to hit a couple of the poker rooms. Lovely, lovely new Encore poker room. Simply stunning. All right, so grab 2 cards off the top of your deck at home. I know it's not a perfect system. We're not really gambling here. This is for fun. We want to see how these do. All right, so here's the flop. We're going to fly through this. We got lots to discuss. The use of automatic shuffling machines, everybody knows, is ubiquitous now on the strip. Everybody has the automatic shuffling machines. So I am sitting on, oh man, a terrible 2-pair queens and my 4s. So if you have something interesting, leave a comment below. Now, let's get these out of the way. These chips, you might not be able to tell, even though we're filming in ultra high definition UHD, these are a Nexgen material chip. Now, first thing we're going to talk about before we get too much into the materials, we're going to talk about quality control. As usual, I measure weight, width, thickness, compare the different denominations, and there are always variations, but these come out very, very average, okay? So the 5s aren't any more thick than the 25s, the 500s, the 100s. They're very reasonable. And like I said, they are a Nexgen chip, so there aren't any metal inserts. But the inlays, that's these stickers right here, they're sticker inlays, do mess things up sometimes. Where am I? Here are a few thousands right here. Some of these inlays, here, let's see if we can get some wobble out of these ones. They're not perfectly flat. This is a pretty flat stack. You can see right here, there's a little movement. Lots of times that's caused by imperfections with the inlay. So you can see right here, this is actually sticky. Wow, that's actually some sticky residue from the inlay that has overlapped out of the recess in the chip. Okay, so as that, I'll roll in a picture of some other flaws, but it's not uncommon. Okay, and so that edge, that rough edge right there, and your fingernail can hit that where the inlay, the sticker, comes out of that recess, sticks out above obviously the chip, and so you get that rocking, okay, that you could see right here. So yeah, the imperfection and the flatness is caused by those inlays. Not super happy with that, but that's pretty normal across the board. You compare that to other Nexgen chips, I mean, you're gonna find all kinds of little imperfections, especially in this these less expensive chips. All right, so there you can see there's a lot of wobble in these as well. These are Nexgen Pro Gen. Comparing quality control, they're very similar as far as the consistency and quality. Other things that are unique to this set of chips is I noticed that on some of these chips there is a difference. Oh, here's one in elevation. There's the what am I trying to say here? The edge spots are actually recessed. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that, but again, your fingernail can hit that and it is actually recessed. There's actually a difference in thickness right there, which is not great. But on the same note, it's not terrible. So quality control comes in as very average. The we need to discuss a design. Just obviously, as a next-gen chip, I'm going to compare it to the Pro-Gen. These are some of my favorite next-gen material chips. And the design of these I like more because the edge spots are more interesting. I'm all for bold and big, which is what this does, but I feel like their color selection, the palette is just so limited. And I understand you want to keep some harmony and unity and you want to make sure that everybody knows these are the same chip, but I don't like that the edge spots are almost as thick as the parent color, right? So earlier this week, I picked up some of these and I'm like, huh, the ones, you know, sure look great. And I looked, I'm like, oh, snap, these are the thousands. I'm like, I thought white was the parent material. And so I'm looking here and I realized, oh no, it isn't. The yellow is. See how the yellow ring right here continues? I'm like, it's a yellow chip with a white edge spot. And when you compare the width of the edge spots versus the parent color, you can see there's 2 to 3 millimeters more parent color than edge spot. But still, I would rather have a more defined edge spot. It's clear to see the white, purple, white is the edge spot, and this is the parent color. You know, just my opinion, little design, little things like that kind of bother me. Let's get some of the sticky residue off of here. Picking up lint everywhere. So, you know, little nitpicky things like that are kind of opinion based. Once you get used to it, like I have now, it's, you know, black and white is the one. Done. No problem. And you're unlikely to have the ones in the thousands and play together. You know, and, you know, as far as color combinations, I can be kind of picky. So that said, the design, I would say, is very average. It's very clean, easy to read. A lot of you will love these. I love the design. It's just a couple of things. Like, I love the design of the, you know, the black sticker inlay right here. It's very reasonable. Now, we need to talk about materials here. Materials are divided into 5 major categories, all right? These are my definitions. People will disagree with me, particularly with the premium set, but I'll roll them in. Okay, so we have our next-gen family, all right? It's like the Godfather family, okay? So you have one family here that represents a soft plastic that has no metal insert, has a nice weight to it, but it is a softer, it feels like a softer plastic. Then you have another economy chip, which often sells for less than the next-gen material, made out of ABS. Now these may or may not have a metal insert, but it's the ABS family, all right? And they're kind of at war with each other in the economy section. And slightly above that, you know, the family that holds itself above the violence is the China Clay family, represented here by the Majestics. I purchased these from Apache Poker Chips, great customer service, very happy with Apache Poker Chips as a retailer. And yes, I pay for these chips. They don't give them to me for free. And then another family is the ceramics. Now the ceramics go all the way from not too expensive. You can get a set of 300 for around 100, all the way up to some really premium custom chips. And then finally we have premium chips, and represented here by the discontinued Paulson Top Hat and Cane. I think Classic Poker Chips still makes some. Key West Casino offers, you know, a stock variety of classic poker chips. So, you know, there's a variety of materials here. Again, China Clay, the premium ceramics, next gen don't have a metal insert. The ceramics are a harder plastic. The premium chips are kind of that really chalky, nice weighted, nice texture, casino quality chip. China Clays are mimicking that with a non-metal insert plastic, which feels a little less elastic and not as soft as the next gen material. And they usually don't have the checkering that the next gen material has. All right, so that's kind of a quick overview of the materials. And along with materials, so the materials are very average for a next gen. I consider it a good value. Let's get the Pro Gens out of the way. If you are interested in these, go look up my next gen Pro Gen review of those chips. I don't think that's in 4K video. I think it's in 1080p, but good enough, all right? So what about durability? My experience with these Nexgens, and I've played with these for a long time, one of these in here, as far as quality control goes, is missing the inlay. It's a quality, it's this one right here. It's a quality control thing, not a durability thing. It didn't wear out or fall off. It just came missing. But I play a lot with these with friends, and you can see there's some wear and tear on these. There's some dust and grime on these. They're a very durable chip. You can see little dings, but you know, even on a casino chip, and trust me, I have my fair share of casino chips, you're going to get dings and nicks and all kinds of problems. Not sure that's going to show up very well. But either way, so as far as durability goes, these are very average, but you need to be aware that when you have a non-metal insert chip, if you get a friend or a poker chip reviewer who likes to just crank on things, these can be broken pretty easily. You can see right there in my hands, right there, live, broken. Oh my goodness, that inlay. Wow, that inlay's in there really good. It's like trying to pry the truth out of Hillary Clinton. Oh my goodness, that's that's very tough right here. Let's just peel it off here. Oh, those, yeah, those. Then they don't tear. All right, so there you got a solid plastic inlay with some unremovable glue attached to it. All right, well, there you go. So durability is very average. Again, if Mr. Look how strong I am, or Ms. Look how strong I am tries to break your poker chips, they'll be able to. Maybe even someone as young as like 10 or 12 might be able to break these. So just be aware of that. Now, let's talk about purchase decisions here. Then we're going to do a sound test, all right? We need to fly through this. I understand a lot of you, and I get messages from a lot of you. A lot of you, I recommend China clays. I really like the China clays. Milanos, Majestics. They seem like a good value, and you get more of a middle-class chip than some of the economy chips. This is one of the higher-end economy chips. But a lot of people just want some inexpensive ABS chips that get the job done, and they like the heavy weight. I don't like the heavy weight. So now we're getting into a lot of preference here. Even more preference when I get, like I had another individual who left a great comment asking about doing chip tricks and what I would recommend. Now, I don't have an extensive knowledge of chip tricks and stuff, but there are some things that I'm aware of and I've seen, you know, playing poker, doing various other things that people like to do. One thing that people do with some high-end chips like Paulson's, you'll spin chips and you'll still see things stop or roll. One nice thing about Paulson's is they have these really nice square edges, so it's easy to lay the chip on the edge. Okay, other chips are a little bit more difficult, but you can do it, right, with like an ABS chip. Nexgens also have square edges, and so they are pretty easy to prop up. Some chips, like China clays, in my experience, are very difficult. Of course, that one just stood right up, typical. And ceramics. A lot of ceramics have beveled edges, and they do not stand up very well on their own. Like this one right here in particular is being very stubborn, and I'm not sure I'll ever get this to stay up. And it looks like my review table is on a slight slant, so it's trying to roll off as well. So you can see, I mean, if you're trying to do certain tricks, you really would need to get a sample set and find exactly what you're looking for. As far as other tricks like shuffling, ceramics are just super easy to shuffle. Like, particularly like the Tiki Kings, I think, are just buttery smooth. So that's a whole new perspective. I really appreciate being able to think outside of my little poker world and apply that to other people's needs. So ABS chips, I can understand why these might be the best selling family of all the materials, is because they are so affordable, and a lot of people are just looking for their first set. So a lot of people's requirements are, they like the heavy weight. A normal casino chip will weigh 10 grams or less in my experience, right around that 10 gram range. Whereas these ABS chips often weigh 13.5, 14.5 grams, far heavier than anything you would find in a Las Vegas casino, but people like that added weight. They just love it, okay? So when you hear in advertising casino weight for a metal insert chip, usually what they're saying is not real casino weight. Usually what they're saying is this is a heavy weight chip, okay? Now, and again, it all just depends. The non-metal insert chips generally are closer to weight than the metal insert. So we'll move those along. This is a discontinued, I'm not sure if I said this, this is a discontinued Top Hat and Cane Paulson set. Hopefully, we all hope they come back with some interesting consumer selections. Now, we're going to do a sound test here. I don't know why I just pushed all those off screen if we're just going to roll them back on screen here. We have ceramics. We have high-end chips. They're discontinued. I'm just going to roll in some casino chips for sound test so you can see what they sound like compared to actual casino Paulson chips. We have ceramics. All right, we need ABS, and then we need some China clays. Now, sound test. We're going to do each one. Okay. Now, the sound actually bothers some people. And others use it just to compare or infer differences, right? So they can draw some conclusions based on how it sounds. A softer chip will sound different than a harder chip, okay? But I'm not somebody who is very picky about sound. Like, my ears are never screaming at me or bleeding like, oh my gosh, those chips sound terrible. So I'm not one to complain about like, oh, I can't play with those chips because the way they sound, all right? I'm fine with whatever. So if it bothers you, there was your sound test. Those were the 5 basic families. Should I give you a little teaser? What on earth? What chip is that? This is also up for review. We got so much stuff coming in and so much stuff to review. It's not a matter of acquiring chips. It's just making time for all of it. I'm so busy here. So the Nexgen, they're not sold as Nexgen, but the Roman Times, brought to you by your high school newsletter, is a very reasonable alternative Nexgen material set. Okay, so basically, ultimately, if you like the Nexgen material, it comes down to which design do you want. Now, before you get too excited and order these straight away, you may want to see some future videos that are already in production about some other Nexgen material chips besides the ProGen and the Roman Times. Those will be out this season, and you may want to wait. So the verdict is not out on those yet. So how do I feel about these? Would I recommend these to somebody? No, I would not recommend these above the ProGen. I would say have a look at the ProGen. If you don't like the ProGen, but you like the material, try ordering a little stack of the Roman Times, or a couple of other options in the Nexgen world. So I hope that helps somebody out there. Poker chips, lots of times people ask me, well, would you get this set or this set or this set or this set? It really depends on what you like. People will watch my videos, listen to my recommendations, and end up with some ABS chips and just be like, oh, I'm perfectly happy with these. I love them. They do exactly what I need them to do. So to each their own. If you're interested in these, definitely get a small stack of them at first before you spend lots of money. And I would compare them to either China clays, like get a small sample set of China clays, and or ABS chips. Now they also make ABS chips, like here's some bicycle ones, non-denomination kind of bicycle premium plastic chip with no metal insert. All right, and you can, if you go to the Hobby John Facebook page, you'll see this picture of this chip up close, and you can zoom in and do whatever you need to with that. Hope that helps somebody out there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it. I really like the mature audience that we have here on this channel. Please subscribe.